My son begged me for 5 more minutes at the park. I had no idea those 5 minutes were going to save both our lives. My 4-year-old was melting down because he wanted to stay on the swings. The divorce had been brutal on him, and I was running on fumes from fighting my ex over custody, so I almost just hauled him to the car. But then I looked at his face, red, streaked with tears, and thought about everything he'd been through these last 6 months. His whole world had come apart because his parents couldn't make it work. None of it was his fault. So I put my keys back in my bag and said, "Okay, buddy, 5 more minutes." His face lit up like I'd handed him the world. He sprinted back to the swings, and I pushed him, listening to him shriek with laughter every time he went high. "Higher, mommy, higher!" I kept pushing. 5 minutes became 10, then 15. I stopped watching the clock. I was just watching my son be happy for the first time in weeks. He'd been having nightmares since his dad moved out. Wetting the bed again, his preschool teacher had quietly told me he cried at every drop-off, asking when daddy was coming back. But right then, on those swings, he was just a little kid. I felt guilty for almost rushing him, so I let him stay even longer. We did the slide, the climbing wall. He made a friend and they tore around the sandbox while I sat on a bench and breathed for what felt like the first time in months. When the sun started dropping, I told him it was time. This time, he didn't fight. He took my hand and said, "Thanks, mommy. That was the best day ever." It hit me square in the chest. I buckled him into his seat, kissed his forehead, and we drove home the long way because he loves the horses on the county road. Nobody was waiting on us. It was just the two of us now. When we turned onto our street, I saw the fire trucks first. 3 of them, lights spinning, blocking the road. Then the smoke, black and thick, climbing into the sky. Then my house, what had been my house, swallowed in flames. Fire pouring out of every window, the roof folding in on itself. I slammed the brakes and just stared. A firefighter ran up and asked if I lived there. I couldn't get a word out. I just pointed at the number on the mailbox, the only thing untouched. He radioed someone, asked if anyone else might be inside. I shook my head. Just us. Just me and my son. My son started screaming in the back because he didn't understand. Neither did I. A neighbor took us in while the crews worked. They said something about the fire starting near the back of the house, but I wasn't really hearing it. I just held my son and rocked him and told him it would be okay, even though I didn't believe it. That night we checked into a hotel. I bathed him, put him to bed, and sat on the edge of the mattress staring at nothing. Everything we owned was gone. Every photo, every baby picture. I didn't even have clean clothes for him in the morning. Around 9, a knock, a police officer. I stepped into the hallway so I wouldn't wake my son. He asked if I was okay, and I told him I didn't know how to answer that. Then he said, "Ma'am, I need to tell you something about the fire." I braced for electrical, or the stove, something I'd done wrong. We found evidence of an accelerant. This wasn't an accident. I couldn't breathe. We also found a vehicle parked a couple of streets over. The driver had been sitting there more than an hour before it started. He paused. "We made an arrest tonight. It was your ex-husband." The hallway tilted. He'd known my routine, known the exact time my son and I walked through that door every evening. "If you'd come home when you normally do," the officer said gently, "you'd both have been inside." I grabbed the wall to stay upright. I looked back at the door where my little boy was sleeping, peaceful, with no idea that his tantrum over 5 more minutes on the swings was the only reason we were alive. We rebuilt slowly after that. A new town, a tiny apartment, a lock on every window, and a long road of helping my son feel safe again. My ex is facing the consequences of what he did, and he will for a long time. But here's what I hold on to. For months, I'd been so buried in lawyers and logistics that I kept missing the small moments with him. And in the end, it was one of those small moments, the one I almost said no to, that gave us our whole lives back. Now when he asks for 5 more minutes, I always say yes.